All right, YouTube Repo Man 64. Got a haircut, not much left to play with. Today I want to talk about salvation. And we are literally counting down to the last days of time before the rapture occurs, before the 7 year tribulation begins. There will be a group of people that will be taken. How many? I'm not 100% sure, but I'm thinking 150 million, 153 million, simply because in Revelation, where it's talking about the 24 elders, and this group came out of every tribe, nation, country, it says they are 10,000 times 10,000 and thousands upon thousands, which is more than 100 million, less than 150, 200 million. So I have been on here for, I think it's been 6 years, coming up on 7 years, and presented every possible way I could to tell you that there are, in fact, several groups of people. And there's a group of people that have accepted the Lord, and that's it. Everything else we do is just crowns, it's jewels in the crown. There is a group of people that go to church. They are better than everyone else. They are saved by virtue of all of their good works, and they have no need of, honestly, Christ's salvation, simple salvation plan, the blood of Christ. That's it. That's all. And then there's a group of people, massive group of people, that don't believe at all. They don't believe in any of this stuff. We just live on this planet, and when you die, you're gone, and they're going to be up for a rude awakening the moment they die. As a matter of fact, there's been atheists who have screamed out as they're dying, "Oh my God, what have I done?" Because they've seen where they're going just prior to when they die. So I want to come on here and very gingerly, very calmly say that if you are a worker of your salvation, that you're going to miss this rapture. And I've said this before, you scare me the most because when the rapture does occur, you're going to be in serious denial still. You're still going to continue on believing that your righteousness is going to get you somewhere. And those that don't believe at all, but heard all of us crazy people out here talking about this event that's coming. Everybody in my job. It's funny. I was at my job, right? And I'm lifting a shelf up, and the one of the managers was below me. I says, "You might want to move because if the rapture occurs, this shelf is coming straight down." And so the manager moved over out of the way because she has heard me talking about this event for years now. And I went to the next shelf and I went to put it up, and sure enough, she stepped to the side. She had faith. She had faith. She had faith that there might be a possibility that this rapture could happen. And guess what she will do? Because she doesn't believe, she hasn't given her life to Christ, but guess what she will do the moment the rapture occurs, as opposed to this self righteous person? She'll drop to her knees and she'll say, "This was a real event, and I believe it, and I know now that Jesus is the only way," and that's a beautiful thing. So that's the groups that we see. So here you are. You're going to church. You're a really good person. You don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't cuss. You open the door for old ladies. You donate money. You help kids in need. You do all these things, and but then you turn around at the one that believes nothing, and you say, "Pfft, they don't stand a chance." And I say they stand a better chance. And then you have this other group. It's walking around. I am so bad. I have done so many terrible things. I've killed somebody. I have lied my whole life. I've stolen every chance I got. Uh, I walk into a store and I steal all the stuff because, they make all this money so they can afford to give me free stuff. And it's a big corporation anyway, so they have insurance, so it's not that big a deal. I'll just go in here and do whatever I feel like it. Things I would do in the store, I would never do in my own home, but I'm going to go do that. I'm just a terrible person. I've done all these things. Why would Jesus ever forgive me? And so to that I say, get over yourself. Stop. This salvation plan isn't about you. There is a certain skill set that you have. There is something that you have in your life that will help through the 1,000-year millennium. You think that anything you've done is more powerful than the blood of Christ. You think that you're not deserving. Well, you're not. None of us are. But there is a certain skill set that you possess that will help during the 1,000-year millennium. God has always allowed us to become a part of his plan. He hasn't done anything without including us for some reason. We're ignorant and dumb, but yet he still brings us in. Why? Heaven is not full of robots. Heaven's not full of church going robots. Heaven is full of sinners. Jesus did not come here to meet with the religious people. He came here to meet with the sinners. Matthew was a sinner, he was a tax collector, he was the worst of the worst. Paul was an absolute murderer. He was murdering Jesus's people. When God changed Saul to Paul, blinded him for 3 days on the road to Damascus. Don't you see the theme of the Bible is you're what God wants? Now, started out nice, but you can see the other side of this. We are out of time. And I've been saying that for years, and it doesn't matter, and it's not going to. But if it went on for another 2 years, we're out of time. In the grander scheme of 6,000 years, we are out of time. There is no more time left. I think that we are within days of the rapture. So if you want to walk around self-wallowing in your pity of how bad you were and all the terrible things you did and how much worse you are than somebody else, you're no different than the religious person looking at somebody else saying how much better they are than somebody else. Your sin is not more powerful than the blood of Christ, and that not giving into that and understanding that is what puts you in hell. And we are of a short period of time. And quite frankly, look at, and I have his picture in here. Give me a second. David the Watchman, he put on a testimony in his last video. If you don't go watch it and subscribe to his channel, uh, you're insane. You really need to subscribe. These are my kind of people. My kind of people used to be. I was never a saved. I've been saved since I was a teenager. Didn't mean I didn't walk in the world for quite a while, but God, of course, always brings us back. But David didn't have any of that. David was not did I say he was an atheist? I think I said say word. He was an atheist, which tantamounted to the same thing, I guess. But he was an atheist. He is the most on fire guy right now for the Lord that I've ever met. God needed his skill set, wanted his skill set. When God describes us, he doesn't say, I made him that way, and that's why he's like that. No, God says, that's the way he is. And I kind of like that. You know, he gets Moses. Moses was 40 years in Egypt. He killed a guard, went out to hide for 40 years, chosen. Guy couldn't even speak. He stuttered. He couldn't even speak. He had to bring his brother, 3 years older than him, Aaron, to go meet up with Pharaoh to let his people go. God chooses those kind of people. Have you ever seen God choose a upright, moral, highly religious person, self-righteous person? You've never seen that. So you're who Jesus wants. He wants you, and he's going to involve us in his plan for the and for eternity for that matter. But the next step is we'll be hidden away. We are going to be aware of the 7 years. We're returning at the end of the 7 years to cast Satan into to hell, and then we're going to be ruling during the 1,000 years. Somebody asked Chuck Missler a question. I believe it was Chuck Missler. Which dispensation will there be the greatest, ugliest sin? And you think about that. You think about the sin of the Nephilim, where God flooded the entire planet. Think about the sin of mankind with the Tower of Babel and through Abraham and all of that. Think about the sin that's been going on for the past 2,000 years since Jesus Christ. And he said the worst time in human history of sin and depravity will be during that 1,000 years. Why? We will no longer be able to blame Satan for our actions. And you hear it every day. Well, Lord, Satan is on after me. And that's you. You can blame Satan because he's putting it in front of you, but you're making that clear choice. So, is this tough to hear? I hope so. I hope it's tough. We are at the end of this, and there's not much time left. And I presented this in every nice, kind way I could for the past 6 years, 7 years. I've presented as nice as I could, but I can't anymore. I have wrestled over this with Kevin Spinebreaker, and I said, Kevin, how do I make a video out of my character where I am now remember, I repoed cars for years. I am the nicest person you'll ever meet, but that car's leaving with me. So how do I present a video kind of appearing to go against my own personality? My own personality is actually very kind and calm and yeah, I can get riled up like anybody else, but I'm basically a pretty calm person. So how do I do that? I said, he said, just do it. Just do it. It sounds great. And what I asked him was, how do I tell everybody out there who isn't trusted simply in the blood of Christ to kiss your children goodbye because they're going to go and you're going to stay here to go through this 7 years? Look at your child and ask yourself why you're not telling that child about Jesus Christ. That child is going to go to heaven. Such is the kingdom of heaven. Jesus is going to take your child. And if you have no faith, you're not going to know where your child went. You're going to be running around screaming, crying, literally wishing that your child was here on earth with you during the tribulation, which is insanity because you don't know what's going on. Say goodbye to your kid, or accept Jesus Christ and go to heaven with your kid. Your kid's going to be in heaven with all of us. You're going to be down here on earth going through 7 years tribulation. All right. I had to get that video out. I know we're at the very end here, and I've literally wanted to say that for a long time. You can't be gentle anymore. There is no more time to be gentle. We are at the end, and it's about to happen. When? None of us know. We want to know. We've been trying to figure it out for years. You watched. You failed at your date. I failed at a rapture watch date. Yes, I did. But I've never said that God told me it's going to happen on this day, or I've never put, 1,000,000,000% it's going to happen. That's insane. Nobody knows that. And God's not going to tell one person. He's going to tell all of us. I hope this part of the video, I'm going to go on to my regular video here in a moment, because I'm not angry. I'm running up against a wall. We are out of time. I want to, or I pray that this video will cause some of you stop being so prideful. It's not about you. I'm a terrible person. Yeah, well, maybe God needs you in the millennium because something you did will make sense during the millennium. There's going to be repossessions in the millennium. There's going to be everything you see now during the millennium. There is a certain skill set that you have. If you know how to steal from something, from a bank or whatever it is you know how to do, guess what? You're going to be in charge of banks because you'll know the little minor things that they're doing wrong to stop that from happening. They're going to be so upset at us. They're going to be so angry with us that at the end of the 1,000 years, they are going to welcome Satan back when he is loosed. When Satan is loosed from hell, They are going to welcome him back with open arms because we have been foiling their plans to do evil, unlike has been matched in the history of the last 6,000 years. That's what we will be doing. We will be able to pick them out with the quickness. It says that if you die at 100 years, people will be like, "Oh, that's weird." Most people, like if you hear somebody dying at 40, that's not cool. If you hear them dying at 80, you're like, lived a full life. A full life in that time period, I would imagine, is 150 years. So if you die at 100, you're like a 40-year-old. That would be strange. But there will be people dying. There will be people dying during the 1,000 years. They are going to resent us and hate us because there isn't anything you can do that we didn't do. And we know about it. And we know how to spot it. And that's what Jesus, and I believe, needs from us during the tribulation. It says very clearly, we'll be ruling and reigning with Christ during that 1,000 years. And that is because we possess a certain skill set. So walk around sob storying your life, but maybe it's not about you. Maybe there's something you have that will be useful during the 1,000 years. I just remember where that looked for that big bug. I don't I saw it yesterday. It was outside. So anyway, swallow your pride, get on your knees, accept the Lord, and say, I don't, it's just a simple prayer to a guy you hardly even know. Just pray the prayer and say, please save me. You know, you might be able to help during the millennium. And if you're super religious, stop. It's not helping you. You are no better off than the guy that doesn't know God at all. It's not helping you because you're counting on that. And that's the problem. And again, you're the hardest person to reach. They're very religious. Oh, I've got to do this. See them all over YouTube. You've got to do this. You can't do that. Yahoo, whatever they say for his name, it's Jesus. We speak his name in English. It's Jesus. And there's nothing wrong with calling his name Jesus because that's how it's translated in the English language. And when you make the statement, well, you have to follow this. You're talking about a different dispensation. They're going to have to follow that stuff during the 1,000 years. And likewise, and guess what? The blood of Christ covered them during that 1,000 years. There will be people saved during that 1,000 years. That blood of Christ, once and for all, not striking the rock twice. When Jesus went to the cross, he died for everybody past, present, and future to the end of that 1,000 years. When God wads up this planet and heaven like a piece of trash. And remember, our holy city is not here. It's not setting down. It will not set down until the new heaven and the new earth are created. He's going to take this entire creation that you see, he's going to wad it up, and he's going to throw it into the lake of fire. He's going to throw it into the trash, and he's going to recreate it. And that holy city that we've been living in for the 7 years of tribulation and the 1,000-year millennium, in my dream, when I had a dream about the holy city, when I walked out the front door and I looked back, the mansion was massive. It was huge. It was my mansion. But when I walked inside, it was unbelievable. Now, at the back door, what I would have called the back door, there was an archway, and it was like I was looking through water, running water. Like, have you ever seen water running down? You could look kind of through. What I looked through, and when you walked through it, you didn't get wet. It wasn't water. It was kind of a, I don't know what it was, a portal of some kind. But when you walked through it, you were in a mall, a huge mall with a bunch of other archways. And you could literally, your mansion is on its own somewhere on this new earth, right? It's somewhere. Or maybe it was in heaven, and that's how it always will work. But you could go through the back door and just go to your friend's house right there. But if you walked out the front door, your friend's house is 1,000 miles away. You can get to it through the back door, though, right there through that archway. And the same thing, you get to Earth, and I think we're going to have jobs. We're going to work. We're going to have jobs. And we're going to come down here during that 1,000 years. I don't know if it's an 8-hour shift, you know, time, of course, will still exist. 8 hours will be 8 hours, even to us, you know. And so it's going to be quite incredible during that time. So swallow your pride, accept the Lord. Remember, it's not about you, it's about his blood and what he did for us. And that's it. And that's all. It's that simple. It's so simple. Satan has made it so difficult. Either none of it exists or I can do something to guarantee my salvation. And so please take a look at that and take that super seriously. So let me get into the pictures. I spent a little bit more time on that, but I felt like that was very important for somebody out there needs to hear that how important your skill set will be. Where are we at right now? What is this? This is the is this the I can't see. Hold on, put on my glasses. This is the 8th. Where's the 8th? Today is Elul 25. It's September the 8th. It became Elul 25 on Elul 24 at sunset in Israel. At sunset in Israel on September the 7th, it became September the 8th. It is now September the 8th. Today, what time is it? Here shortly, at sunset on Elul 25, September the 8th, it will become Elul 26, September the 9th. Very quickly, we are catching up to this, the first day of creation. I did all the math. Remember, Jesus rises. He spends the day and then he disappears. He returns to Thomas in the upper room 8 days later on this self same day. So he rises on Sunday. He returns to Thomas in the upper room. He returns in the afternoon. What do you think he did that morning? He had to hold himself apart for 7 days. He is a priest and he is a king and he was in a graveyard. So he does the wave sheaf offering 1 week later on the 8th. Jesus rises here. He's in the grave 84 hours. He rises. The wave sheaf offering is done, and then he appears to Thomas in the upper room. He does this on Nisan 25, April the 10th. Excuse me. Still got a little bit of cough from that CBD that I had. That was a lot of fun. Now, it clearly says in the text that from the wave sheaf offering, you are to count from the Sabbath after 50 days. Guess what day that is? It's Sunday. What's the Sabbath after? It's Saturday. No, the days of the week do not line up with our calendar because there are not 365 and a quarter days in a year. There technically are, but the earth actually only spins 364 times to reset itself back to the same position. I made the video showing you that 364, 365 and a quarter are the same amount of time. They have to take 4 minutes a day to point back at the sun, which makes sense. We need to keep high noon, high noon. Jesus was on the Gregorian calendar. I know, it was the Julian calendar, but the Julian calendar started its year on January the 1st. When it was made in 172 BC, it was accurate to what the Gregorian calendar is today. Jesus did all of these events on the Julian calendar. When they realized or recognized that there was a problem in 1582, they moved the calendar 10 days to repair it, to go back to the original Julian calendar. Jesus was here on the Julian calendar. So now, on the Gregorian calendar that we are currently on, the days match up perfectly with the days of the Julian calendar of 172 BC or 30 AD when Jesus went to the 31 AD when Jesus went to the cross. They match perfectly, exactly day for day. So Saturday would have been the day that you count from. So what day is it? When Jesus rises, when Jesus does the wave sheaf offering, Thomas in the upper room, it is April the 10th. You count from the Sabbath after 50 days. There's the Sabbath after. You count down 50 days. You wind up at Sivan 20. But it says, even unto the next day. There's your first Pentecost. After that, each Pentecost, Acts records 4 Pentecost events. 3 of them make it to the Gentiles. And the third Pentecost, they were surprised that even the Gentiles were being saved. The Jews are our salvation. Well, God's our salvation, but the Jews brought us the words of the New Testament. They wrote the New Testament. Jesus was a Jew. Now, when you count from the first Pentecost of Sivan 21, June 5th, 50 days, you wind up here on the second Pentecost, which happened on July 24th, the 9th of Av. It's a perfect count. The year always starts because of what God told Moses. His first law handed down in Exodus 12 was, this now is the head of your year. I heard somebody say, well, we don't actually know when the head of the year used to be. What are you talking about? It's clear. Noah's Ark was the second month and 17th day. That's Tishri 1, which mathematically lands on September the 15th. If you go to the second month and 17th day from Tishri 1, mathematically, guess where you wind up at? Right here. The flood happened on the second month and 17th day. Mathematically, Tishri 1, and that was October the 31st, November the 1st. Mathematically, the head of the year is simple. 2 months and 17 days after this date, you will land on Heshvan 17. I start the year, and I can't find it as to being wrong. I started on March 17th. The day of equal parts happens on March 16th. March 17th starts the year. This now is the head of your year. This is now Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah simply means head of the year. We're coming up on the 5th day of creation. Now remember, God began creation in the middle of the year, what we call the middle of the year. To him, the head of the year began here. It was the first day of time. On the first day, uh, of creation, September the 11th, Elul 28. Second day of creation, Elul 29, September the 12th. Third day of creation, Elul 30, September the 13th. And finally, on the fourth day, God creates time. It's Elul 31, September the 14th. Then, on the fifth day, is the Feast of Trumpets. He how do you say, he finalizes this in Numbers, I think it was, or Leviticus, it might have been, where he says that trumpets will happen on the first day of the first month, and this is also lining up perfectly with Noah removing the covering of the ark. That happens on September the 15th. September the 16th is the day God created man. And then finally, on the seventh day, God rested. Any one of these would be a perfect scenario for a rapture day. Any day of the week of creation, beginning on September the 11th. Now they'll say Elul 28, but mathematically Elul 28 does not work, because then that would give you 360 days in a year, and there are actually 364 days in a year. I think there always has been. I think that the 4 Kasseys that happen over here, oops, where'd it go? You have them over here. You have the first Sabbath, and it happens on the 31st. This is the day of creation. That's not the date of it, but this is the anniversary of the day of creation. The first Sabbath happens. The second Sabbath happens here. This is actually where God created time. It happened on Elul 31. All of these are the 31st day. There are 230s and then a 31. 230s and a 31. That's how you get to 364. If you look at how I showed you how the planet actually spins, it actually spins 364 times. If you add that 4 minutes, so that you can, of course we have to have high noon at high noon, then you'll have 365 and a quarter days. That's how it works. The next one will be Kislev 31, December the 15th. This is the day that Adam was kicked out of the garden. God actually spent Hanukkah with Adam. Kislev 24, December the 8th, to Kislev 31, December the 15th. That is Hanukkah. And then down here at the bottom, the last Kaseh, the hidden day, the turning of the seasons is Adar 31, March 16th. This is also the day of equal parts, and this is the day Lazarus died. All right, let me get on with this. I wanted to point that out. That happened. I was listening to Fly Away, and I opened my phone, and 11:11. This is the cross. This is what happens when you say that, and it's true. June 21st and December 21st are the longest and shortest days on the Northern Hemisphere. They are opposite for Australia. But up here, those are the longest and shortest days. So what do? Well, they divide that. They take 91 days and 91 days, and they say that September the 21st and March 21st are the what is that, the solstice? I don't recall the name of it, but that's when they do. But I want to point out here that it does look like a cross. But June 15th is when it goes into the 23.5 degree mark, and it stays in there for 14 days, 15 days inclusive. And December 15th is when it goes into the 23.5 degree mark down in Australia. Well, here too, 23.5 degree mark, and it stays in there for 15 days. And then 91 days, half of that is actually September the 15th and March the 16th because of the extra day we have to deal with. So the 15th, 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 and 16th because of that extra day. So I said, well, let me draw a cross on this as to what they see as the beginning, the middle. I say that the season begins as soon as it comes into the 23.5 degree mark. Wouldn't you measure it from when it comes into it rather than the center of it? This is what it looks like when you do it from the 15th to the 15th and the 15th to the 16th of March. That's what it looks like. And that reminded me of something. That's laminin. That is the glue that holds your cells together. It is shaped like a cross. That's what it looks like. It's not a perfectly symmetrical cross, right? It's a little offset. That's what it looks like when you use September 15th and March 16th. I thought that was kind of cool. I wanted to bring that out to you so you could kind of see that. This one doesn't do that, but it's amazing how this one actually lines up. All right. I don't know how much time I've been on here, but I can't go much more than 55 minutes. Remember the former things of old, for I am God and there is none else. I am God and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning. If God created the planet or began creating on September the 11th, Elul 28, 6,000 years ago, and we are now coming up on here in 3 days, September the 11th, Elul 28, 6,000 years later, does this verse mean a little bit more to us in declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times and things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand and I shall do all my pleasure? That kind of points to September the 11th for me, but it could be the entire week, right? Maybe when he created time. Maybe when he created man, maybe he created time on the fourth day, he created man on the sixth day. I don't know. I guess we're about to see, are we not? And the Lord said, my spirit shall always strive with man, for he is also, he that, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be in 120 years. We know this is 120 years of Jubilees. That's 6,000 years. I think here on September the 11th, that 6,000 years is up. Oh, I was pointing out that the person that said we really don't know that Tishri 1 was the head of the year, it clearly was. I mean, I don't know how anybody can say that. It clearly was. And then the second day of the 17th month, when you just number out your week, 6 days you shall work and 7 days you shall rest, it lands on October 31st, November the 1st, the nightfall of October the 31st, becoming November the 1st. The second month, the 17th day, is Heshvan 17. It's a perfect count. And that's where you start. And God said, as in the days of Noah, our count should start with Noah. it makes perfect sense. And her brother and her mother said, "Let the damsel abide with us." This is something that Kevin was working on. I took a photo, a snapshot of it. Thought I'd bring it to you. And her brother and her mother said, "Let the damsel abide with us a few days, at least 10. After that, she shall go." So he's working on this concept that why is Tishri 1 and Tishri 10 the 10 days of awe from September the 15th to September the 24th at nightfall? Why did we keep seeing this? Why does it go from trumpets to atonement? Does something happen on trumpets on September the 15th, Tishri 1, and then there's these 10 days of awe, 10 days of something? Like I've said many times before, and I could be wrong, but I personally can't see the tribulation saints being here for 3.5 years when God said that Jacob's 70th week is for the Jews, turns his attention back to the Jews. I wonder if we are not raptured out of here and then these people die during some horrible event, but just before they die, they kneel down and accept Christ, and they wind up a great multitude in heaven, and they have washed their robes white in the blood of Christ. I wonder if that's not what this 10 days that we keep seeing. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. I don't know. Like I said, what if the rapture were to happen on Tishri 1 on September the 15th? 10 days later, God gathers all of the dead in Christ, the tribulation saints. They've lost, I mean, they're scared to death. They're crying. They're scared to death. You actually read that in Revelations that they're crying and they're fearful and scared of what's going on. And so, and 10 days later, they show up. And then we start with the Day of Atonement, also being the very last day of the Revelation 12 sign. The Revelation 12 sign, September the 24th or 23rd, if you want to say that, to the 23rd. That's the Day of Atonement. What if that kicks off the 7 years? Saints are the bride is gone, the saints are gone, and then now God focuses attention on the Jew for those 7 years. It's something I'm putting out there. I don't know. I would look forward to Wayne at We Are the Overcomers to maybe look at something like that because he's very studious in that type of. That's his wheelhouse, his arena. Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of an holy day or of the new moon or of the Sabbath days, which are a shadow of things to come. But the body is of Christ. Remember, the world is judging you, sinner. Oh, you're a sinner. Oh, you've done some terrible things. Don't tell me about them. Don't tell me. Don't tell people about it because they're going to judge you. Don't tell me. Don't tell anyone. Go into a quiet place by yourself and accept the Lord. There's something about you, and if this is nagging at you, and if you really feel guilty about what you've done, something's going on in your heart. The Holy Spirit is tugging at you. Why won't you listen and go in there and say, "Hey, I want this. This is what I want. I accept that free gift. I take that cup and I drink from it. I'll reach out and grab the hem of your garment. I'll steal that salvation. I'll take it, just like the woman with the 12-year issue of blood. I want that. You have to want that salvation. And then the Holy Spirit will begin working inside of you after that. And you'll want to tell other people the good news, like all of us here that are making videos and walking around and telling people and street preaching and, and just Facebooking, all the Facebook posts. I mean, it's incredible the warnings that are going on right now. All right, who is this? Oh, this is me a year ago. 1 year ago, when I made a video, September the 11th was still a little 28. Um, the new timeline that I built, I think, is easier to understand. Showing 6 days you work and the seventh day you rest. Uh, Lines it up. It was very mathematically difficult to get to the right dates before until I realized that I had to do that. And honestly, it was Aaron that got a minute that made a comment. 6 days you shall work. I've always heard it, but it didn't resonate until he said it. 6 days you shall work, and on the seventh day you rest. I said, why am I always trying to put the Gregorian calendar and add it to the Hebrew calendar? Why don't I just set the Hebrew calendar up, go by what God clearly said, 6 days you work and 7th day you rest, and why don't I just put the Gregorian dates and count them down, just simple as it can be, from the head of the year of March 17th. And if you disagree with that, you say, well, um, it has to be the 21st because that's the equinox. Of course, I remind you that's the day of equal night. We need to look. We're not children of the night. We're children of the day. We're going to look at the equilux, which means day of equal day. So knowing that, you can put either one on there. I would be 4 days off if it in fact is the equinox. I don't think it is, but if it is, I could be 4 days off. But I challenge you to add your moon to a 6 days you shall work and 7th day you rest. I challenge anybody to make that calendar. Can't be done. So as of a year ago, I was thinking that we could be going home because I wasn't sure if it was the end of the 6,000 years. I've watched over the past year really good watchmen that have worked out the time to being this is the end of those 6,000 years coming up now. Um, oh, remember how many times I've said that we are seeing cracks over near Los Angeles? They're getting earthquakes, but the land is not rising over there. It's actually sinking. And it's because I believe that plate is moving over. And there's all the earthquakes. It's a couple days ago. I've been watching. There's just five. I only watched the last, everything on here is in the last 48 hours, and everything on here is 4.0 and above, and most of them are hitting close to 5.0 or 5.0 and above. And as you can see, look at that. That entire plate is sliding to the west. And very shortly, the waves and the seas, in my belief and understanding of what the Bible says, the waves and the seas will be roaring and men's hearts will be failing them for fear after looking at that 200-foot wave coming at them, or 500. I don't know how tall they said it would be, but it's really going to be a mess when that happens. It's either that or it's Damascus, one of the two. But both of them are biblical. Both of them speak of Damascus, and more importantly, in Luke, it speaks of the waves and the seas roaring. Look up, for your redemption draweth near. That day is arriving when you see these things. And this speaking to the bride, those are the things we're going to see. We're not going to see the Antichrist. We're going to be a part of the great departure. We are not going to see that. Second Thessalonians is not speaking to us. It's speaking to the tribulation saint. And it almost appears that when they see this rapture occur, and the Antichrist will come on the scene, and then they will go. It doesn't appear to be much time after the rapture that they will go. God's Land Down Under. Um, he just did a really cool video. I just wanted to promote a couple of channels. These are some, and let me tell you, these are some rough, tough guys. I promise you, if we got into a room sitting around talking, just us, just like me and Kevin and Will over at Worship and Watch, and Tony, Wackadoodle Simone calls me on the phone all the time. If we were in a room by ourselves and we're able to be ourselves, we're a tough group of people. We are not as much of a pushover as we might appear and need to appear to hopefully get you to. And I'm not saying it's fake. It's not fake because I am a very soft person. But don't forget, I repoed cars. I'm not incapable of stepping up. And I think that's what God's looking for during the 1,000 years. He's looking for a personality that is compassionate, but also is not afraid to step up when it needs to happen. If you are there witnessing a woman being harmed, you very quickly would execute judgment on that person doing that harm. And I think that's what he would look for. I know a lot of men that would not do something like that. It's not in their personality. And I'm not saying that they're not saved, because we need preachers and we need kings and preachers. So I'm not saying that only the bride is a tough group of kids. That's not what I'm saying at all. but there is a group of people who will lay down the law. And I believe that type of people that I resonate towards are those type of people. And I think that they're a little bit tougher than what you imagine what you see on here. So let me get back. So God's Land Down Under. I think he said something to the effect of he was about it. I was built up pretty nice before the surgery. He was built up pretty nice. I believe back in the day he trained with somebody who trained Arnold Schwarzenegger. He said so. Very good channel. Please go subscribe. And remember, the Tribulation Saint is going to need this information. If it's not 10 days and it is 3.5 years, they're going to find this stuff, and they're only going to find it if you like, comment, share. You don't have to like, comment, share my video. This is a bit out of my character today. Probably will upset some people, and that's fine. But I had to say it. But God's Land Down Under is a very good channel. David the Watchman, same thing, built up. He's not putting up with much. And in his last video, he gets a little more, uh, goes against the grain a little bit. I enjoyed this last video. I'm shocked that he only has this. He used to be an atheist, and now he's on fire for Jesus. And he has in his house, and he'll show you this in his house, all kinds of pamphlets and stuff for the left behind. Whoever comes into his house is going to find a treasure trove of this information. When they come here to mine, they're going to find literally stuff I've been writing on for years. I've made time. They're going to find a timeline I made 30 years ago that didn't work out. It did not work out. It mathematically wouldn't work out, so I had to put it away. I could only, and I've tried to figure out the time and the dates and make them work. I've done it for so many years, and finally I found this. I prayed, Lord, please let me see this. You know this is what I want. Let me see this. And I believe he did, and now I know what dates match up perfectly. There will be other skeptics, and that's fine. It's not a salvational issue. The salvational issue is accepting Christ, and that's it. Everything else, it's open to interpretation, right? You can start the head of your year anywhere you want. I'd love to see your timelines with 6 days you work and 7th day you rest to see if your dates, like Jesus was conceived on December the 25th. If you go with the equinox, Jesus was conceived on December the 29th. That literally makes no sense. What you would look at that and go, dang, God, you could have really lined this up if you had just started the year 4 days earlier, and he would have conceived on December the 25th. In the year he was born, Hanukkah, and because they view the moon, and they have since Jesus was here, Hanukkah actually lined up with Christmas, just like I think it does next year. I think Hanukkah and Christmas, or the year after, I don't recall, are on the same day. Hanukkah begins on Christmas Day here very shortly, and it happens just like last year, September the 23rd, or September the 15th was Tishri 1. It was the Feast of Trumpets. This year it is, I think they got it all the way down in October. I'd like to see a calendar. If you can show me a calendar that has 383 days in it, that's the only way you can make the Feast of Trumpets go from the correct date of September the 15th to October the 2nd, simply because there is a eclipse. In my opinion, it's silly. So please go subscribe to David the Watchman. Very good channel. Very good. And he's not a, he will tell you. And you know who he's speaking to? He's speaking to all you atheists out there that don't believe anything. But please go watch his channel. I can't connect to that. I've never been an atheist. I've always known. But I really respect this guy because God pulled him out. And why did God pull him out? Why did God pull David out? Because there's other atheists that are watching that don't believe any of this that are going to happen across my channel. And then you go watch David the Watchman, you're going to see why David the Watchman gave up on that false ideology that there is nothing, to the point where he is now more on fire for Jesus than people that go to church every week. That's not saying much. Sorry, David. End Time Watchman, Patrick, fantastic channel. This guy does some mathematical stuff, and he finds the deepest things inside the Bible. I absolutely love his channel, and he works out some really cool stuff. Uh, he is fantastic, just a fantastic watchman. I love this guy. And again, um, I see an edge on this guy. I think that there is there's a skill set that he has that will be useful during the tribulation. Same thing with Wayne over at We Are the Overcomers, fantastic channel. Um, he's such a peaceful, calm, loving guy, but I see it, Wayne. It's going to be fun. We're going to have just this huge. I think there's 153 million of it. We're just going to have this huge group of people, and we're all just going to be the best of friends for all eternity, and it's going to be so fantastic. Wayne, I'm coming over to your house to visit. It's going to be great during that time. Your mansion, sorry, not your house, your mansion. Wackadoodle Samoan is back, and he's built his channel up nicely, very quickly. 864 subscribers. Same thing. There is a toughness to Matt, and I can see it, and I know it's there, and it's fantastic to see him on fire for the Lord. That skill set's going to be used during the millennium. He is working on some stuff. I get the sense that he's fearful of bringing it right to the front, right up front. So, Whack, I'm calling you out. You need to bring up what you need to bring up because I think the rapture is literally going to happen here anytime soon. He's got some really, I literally could make video after video on stuff he found. It's fantastic. It's absolutely wonderful how he is. Carol Vay, wow. Please go subscribe to her. Fantastic teacher, awesome person. She's fantastic and really enjoy listening to her. She is so smooth spoken. Um, and I see a toughness about her too. She is I believe she knows her stuff and she's not going to be swayed and she literally has good information. So if you're not subscribed to Carol Vay, please do so. I haven't found anything that she says is contrary to, again, dates, that doesn't affect me at all. If you think it's the moon, go for it. If you think Jesus Christ is the only way to heaven, you're my friend. You and I are going to spend eternity together. End of story. And we're going to have a blast. It's not going to be, a fearful time for us. It's going to be fun for us. Dr. Chris Zimmer, again with the math. Wow, he did a really good video here. Please go subscribe to him. I'm always shocked that with the type of stuff he finds. Again, none of us have found the rapture date, so we can't say that. Look at that. 2 views 2 minutes ago. The second his video came on, I was on there watching it. Fantastic fella, Dr. Chris Zimmer. I look forward to spending eternity with you in heaven. Revelation Watchman 777, fantastic guy. Love his videos as well. I believe we're on a different timeline, but I don't care. He knows Jesus Christ is the only way, and that's all that matters. So, uh, what else do we got? What else did I do here? But all the unclean things are righteous. Oh, they like the wind, taking this. I don't know why I highlighted this. I really don't know why. What did I look up for? Covering. Oh, I remember. I was wondering, and some of you that do a lot of this type of research, like uh, I always forget his channel. End Time Watchman. Sorry about that, Patrick. I always forget the name of the channel. Is there a possibility that and this is for the 7 year tribulation saint, or maybe the Jew, is it possible that our works, this verse confuses everybody all the time, but we are all as unclean thing, and all our righteousness are as filthy rags. So I went to look up rags in there, and I come up with this, that if you look down, it's a garment, clothes, cloth, raiment, apparel, robe used 4 times, wardrobe, very clothing, lap, rags. And so I go over here, and this is what I'm associating the two with. And I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said to me, These are they which came out of great tribulation and have washed their robes. So I looked up that word robes. It is a different word, but it's the same thing. It is a robe, it's a long clothing, it's a garment. It's a similar idea. And I was wondering if Patrick could work on that verse to say possibly that the filthy rag, while it's our good works are as filthy rags, if they are not the rag that's being washed clean. They're bringing their righteousness, right? They bring their righteousness, but their righteousness is nothing but filthy rags. But then they appear in heaven having washed that filthy rag white. And I was wondering if there was might quite possibly an association between those two. That's out of my wheelhouse. That's something Patrick would be able to dig out, or anyone else actually for that matter. Uh, Wondering if that was associative. So anyway, let me get off here before I go on too long. Repo Man 64, like, comment, share, and subscribe. If this video upsets you, good. That means you're not saved. That means that you need to give in to just Jesus Christ only. If you have a tough person in your house that just says, I'm not worthy of that, show them the video. Tell them how worthy they actually are after they accept Christ and that skill set that they have, which might be why God is tugging at them. And obey the Holy Spirit and accept the Holy Spirit and go to heaven and live for all eternity. And then go tell somebody else. Uh, Go to a quiet place by yourself. Nobody needs to know. Listen, tough guy, tough girl. Go to a quiet place. You don't need to tell anybody. This is between you and God. Go to a quiet place by yourself. Nobody needs to know. You don't need to tell anybody except the Lord into your heart. We have run out of time. We are out of time. I don't know if this is my last video or not. I don't know. And it could very well be. The rapture could happen any moment. Any moment now. So let me know in the comment section what you think about that. I know it's a little bit tougher than I normally am, but I feel like we're running out of time and I have to be. I have to be, and I have to let you know that you're very important to God. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. The opportunity for you to reach out and grab his robe is there for everybody. Anybody can. Will you? You're out of time. So I could scream about this. Yeah, like I said, I took a different route on this video just simply because maybe that's what gets the tough guy to respond. Maybe they don't respond to softness and what appears to be, which is not, what appears to be weakness. It is a toughness that we exhibit in Christ. We're not weak. We're very tough. And there's coming a day. So, all right, Repo Man 64. Chat with you again. Maybe in heaven.